Welcome back to Callahan's Corner. We ask the questions, answer them live right here on Facebook. Got a great user submitted question here via Facebook Messenger here from Taylor Cannon. Taylor wanted to know how to be able to go out and create an estimate with a trip charge for minimum to show up plus additional matrices around production rate based estimating. So he said, do you know if it's possible to have pricing matrices for Arbor DHB? And if you're wondering what DHB is, it is the diameter at breast height. So you're actually going in and measuring it about 4.5 feet, the actual diameter of the tree, and then how much product would actually be used to actually treat that tree. So wants to know is, do you know if it's possible to have a pricing matrix for DBH that has a stop charge or a trip charge? So if I go to one place, he wants to charge approximately $60 for to show up and an additional X amount of dollars per DBH or inches they are treating. So this is going to apply to Taylor's question exactly, but if you have a trip fee you want to add on to your service with a production rate based estimating, this is how you would actually tackle it. So without any further delay, I am going to open up the screen here. People are wondering what DBH is diameter at breast height, and they actually measure the tree. So in his question, he wants to be able to measure the tree and get the total diameter of all the inches that all the trees he's going in, and we're going to build a production rate around that. In addition, we're also going to put a per trip charge. So we're going to go into the Simple Growth blueprint here, and we're going to put this as our tree treatment service. And I'm going to blow this up here so you guys can see this here a little bit more. So we've got our tree treatment, and there is going to be no matrices around this. Well, actually, I guess apparently, well, I guess we actually would want to do. So this would be the number of tree treatment trips in his example. So we're going to tackle the trip fee right here off the bat. And that's trips. And in addition, we're going to have his tree treatment inches. And that's also going to be our custom field. So I'm going to form this out in the blueprint and then actually build this inside Service Autopilot. So you can see how this actually is put together for Taylor's question specifically. So the first thing I'm going to tackle here is our trip treatments. So right now I'm going to ballpark these numbers. He's going to be looking at $125 per man hour. That's what he's charging per guy or girl in the field. And it is costing him $71.10 break even. So difference between those would be our net bottom line profit. So for each trip, going out to make the treatment here, let's say it's $60. And our worst case scenario, if we were job costing this, would be about 0.48 man hour. So a half hour additional time for that drive time. Now, in this case, we probably would not put that in there. If we did want to track it, we could stick that in. And my professional opinion on this one would be is we're not putting any budgeted hours on there. Because that is going to be included in our non-billable average drive time, which should be included in our 7110 overhead recovery break-even number. But what we're going to do is go in another one-to-one is another $60. So if you have to go out for multiple trips, multiple days, that is going to be covered. So the next part is we're going into our tree treatment inches. So according to the question, he can add the inches for all the trees on the whole entire property. So let's say we have 10 trees at 10 inches, we'd have 100 inches. So that's how we're going to actually go in and tackle this. So I'm going to say for every 1 inch here, we are charging, I'm going to make these numbers up fictitiously, but let's just say we're charging $10. Based on that, each inch should take approximately about 3 minutes. So equals 3 divided by 60. Obviously, you need to use your own production numbers, but I want to work the math in here, how this would work. Now, as far as the material chemical actually going to be using for the makeup of this, each inch, let's say the cost per inch here is costing him, let's call it $2.50. So what we've got here is the ability to go in, the break-even cost is going to be the 0.05 man hours times the 71, which is in our equation here. What we are missing, though, in that equation is the cost per inch of materials. So if you're doing chemicals, fertilization, weed control, anything like that in SA, I'm going to recommend best practice is include the product cost in here. If you're doing mulch, other installs, you do not want the product in there. You want to separate the two for job costing. But with the way the chemical tracking works in SA, for this instance, we are going to make the exception, include the cost per inch of materials in here. So we've got for each inch, we're charging $10. It should take 0.05 man hours. It's 3 minutes. And overhead recovery of the 7110 plus the cost of materials is $6.06. So Taylor in this instance is making a profit of $3.95 and a 39, almost 40% net profit margin. The bottom equation is going to be identical, and it's a 1-to-1. So once we have this in here, we've set up our process. So the way this is going to lay out inside Service Autopilot is we're going to go into the gear icon, custom fields. We're going to build these out first. And I'm going to add a custom field. So I'm going to go in and add something in here just so we can find this. I'm going to put a couple minus signs in here because there's so many custom fields in this account here. And what we're going to do is go in and grab our first custom field of number of tree trips and drop that in here. Goes to customer, and it is going to be a number. Save and new. And the next one is the number of tree treatment inches based on the DBH. So what we're going to do is paste that in there. I'm going to throw a couple minus signs in front so I can actually find this. And it is going to be a number. So we've created our custom field after we've taken the Simple Grow blueprint, figuring out what our charge per hour is and our break even per man hour. We took our custom fields. Now it's time to actually build out our services based on the user submitted question here. So gear icon, services, we're going to drop that in there, and we're going to create our service. So our parent service is our tree treatment. And we're going to put our code in. Our service mode is going to be per unit, invoice description, account is we're going to call it maintenance and estimate. Now we're going to go to our rate matrices. So quantity rate times visits. And if we remember, our custom field here is the number of tree treatment trips. So this is going to set up that one-time variable. And for every one trip out there, the question was, we want to charge $60. So in this instance, we're not going to put budgeted time or cost because we're already recovering that in our overhead recovery model. So this is how we would set up the trips. So we're going to hit save and new and build out our second service for the tree treatment inches. And as we grab that, we're going to drop that in here, using estimates only, quantity rate times visits. And based on the blueprint, our tree treatment inches is the custom field. So for every 1 inch, based on the equation that we put together, based on DBH inches or height, is $10.05 man hours. And it is costing overhead recovery and product $6.06. So as we put that in, this is what it would look like, and it is a 1-to-1 equation. For each inch, we're charging $10. It's taking 0.05 man hours, and it's costing us overhead recovery and product $6.06. So the final part of this equation here is we're going to go into the gear icon. We are going to go into job estimate templates and build out this template for Taylor. So we're going to go in. Tree treatment. Both, and we're going to add an item in. So our first item is based on the blueprint, tree treatment. So add an item, stick that in there. And our subservice is based on the blueprint, the tree treatment inches. So we're going to go back in under service, add this in as a subservice. And tree treatment inches, and we're going to apply. So what we have here now is the treatment and the number of inches. So as we use this template and saved it connected to a document, there would be a custom field that would say, all right, for every tree treatment, we've made 1 trip. That's our $60. And let's say we have 10 trees at 10 inches each on average. 10 times 10 is 100. We would put in 100, and that would calculate the $1,000, the 5 hours to do it, and the cost of overhead recovery, materials, and everything else at $606. So he has his one-time $60 trip fee plus the inches. So it's $1,060, 5 hours, and total cost is $606. Profit margin net bottom line would be 42.8%. So Taylor, that's how you would put that together. Ideally, you may want to go in and create a form and link the custom field. So you actually go out and fill out the form. And when we pull up this template, it loads the custom field automatically. So you can go out and delegate those estimates with a quick video, and probably for your SOPs, some pictures of what it actually looks like to measure that DBH and be able to delegate that out to either your client or probably your estimators. So that's how we build it out. Trip charge plus any overage in a production rate based manner. Callahan's Corner, you asked the questions, we answer them live right here on Facebook.